Welcome back, I'm Tedward, and we have probably one of the coolest cheap options for a 911 today. This is a 2005 911 Carrera. It's a non-S. And for those of you saying, oh, well, no, I would never buy a non-S. I have to either have an S or a GT3. I think we might be proving that wrong today. This car is fantastic. And for all of the man-math 911 buyers out there, it's really easy to fall into the trap of like, whoa, I need to get a GT3. Then you find out a 997 GT3 is at least $90,000, and that's probably still relatively well worn. So you go down to the turbo, you say, I don't want to spend $70,000, I don't want all-wheel drive, and I want a naturally aspirated engine. So then by the time you're done to where you can actually afford the car, this starts looking pretty good, but you don't get the brakes, you get the smaller engine. This has a 3.6 liter, 325 horsepower, flat six. The S came with a 355 horsepower, 3.8 liter. And that was a big deal at the time. That was the biggest engine that Porsche had made for the street. Except here's the thing. This 3.6 liter pulls really nicely. You won't win any drag races, but it's not anemic. I know a lot of you have probably driven 981 Boxsters and Caymans. And if you've ever driven a non-S Boxster or Cayman, it can be pretty underwhelming. It is a .1, so you are going to have IMS problems, although you might have noticed these taillights are a little different. Those are the .2 taillights and headlights. This car also has lobster claw wheels. I think these are really beautiful wheels. They're pretty polarizing for whatever reason, and some folks really hate them. I don't really understand that. One of the things you don't get on the base Carrera are the turbo brakes. I really don't think it's necessary. One, because it doesn't have the power to really require it. Two, because unless you're tracking the car, you don't need the additional thermal capacity. All you need to do is pad slap this, and they're gonna be just fine. You're really just gonna be limited by the grip of your tires. You've got two 35s up front, two 95s in the rear. What else is there to say? What a practical thing. Let's go for a ride. Key in the left, of course. And I know a lot of folks who are looking at these cars, they're cross-shopping it against probably very nice and well-equipped E92 M3s, because for $30,000, that's a lot of M3 for $30,000. But remember, an M3 is a 3 Series. It's a family car that's been changed to be a sports car, whereas this is a sports car purebred from the ground up. Let's pop it in sport mode. We've got PASM, we've got Sport Chrono. I really thought I was going to get in this car and make excuses for it about, oh, well, you know, it's not the S, so we can forgive this, we can forgive that. All I'm finding is this is a very pure 911. The joy of having a slightly, and I'm not going to call this underpowered, it's not underpowered, but a lesser power car, let's say, because it's comparative to the S and the turbo and the GT3, is that you can use the power in this more of the time. If I was in a GT3, I would be having less fun on these roads just because I would have to be going so much faster to do it. One of the benefits of the 997 over the 996 is the ride quality, because at higher speeds you have less vague front end. It doesn't float, it's a lot more planted. But in addition to that, you get less hisses and whistles because they changed the way the windshield was mounted. I think it's flush against the front of the car, and they also changed these mirrors. So there are just inherent differences in the way this car is designed that make it more comfortable and user-friendly and just quieter. This engine's also happy just about everywhere in the rev range. Like, there's a lot of torque all over the place, and I know that's what the 3.8 liter in the S was really renowned for, was having all this torque. But to be honest, like, I'm driving this car and I'm not thinking, oh, they clearly neutered it. Like, this is plenty. Good alignment. I'm not gonna lie, I have a friend who bought a base Carrera 997.1, and I asked why would you buy that car when you could buy an S? And hadn't driven it until today. I was wrong. I apologize. This thing's awesome. You can always argue that there's a car with faster 0 to 60 times. But it's all about the way it puts it down. One of the beautiful things about 911s is that rear engine design, even though it seems inherently wrong and silly, it can put down power. I mean, you could be like coming out of a corner and really get on the throttle, and it's going to lay down the power. You're not just going to slide. I mean, you could if you really tossed it in, but it doesn't matter. Why are you slowing down? You're from Florida. Shouldn't you be a crazy person? This car really has me rethinking my E92 purchase. This is a better car. Like, easily, this is a better car. Is it a faster car? Probably not. I could probably still get around a racetrack faster in my E92 with some sticky rubber. But the older I get, the more I realize speed isn't the metric that matters. It's experience. It's feel. The brake feel, fantastic. Like, plenty of brakes. I mean, seriously, the idea that you need bigger brakes sometimes is a misnomer. Bigger brakes don't mean more stopping power, they mean more repeatable stops, right? Because you've got more thermal capacity that you can deal with that heat. So, I mean, honestly, with a car with a little less power like this, you don't need the big brakes. You can toss them on if you wanted to do a little upgrade. But the reality is, you pad slap this with an aggressive pad, you put in higher temperature fluid so it can stand the heat, and these are good rotors. They're probably not going to crack on you, so you're good to go. If the subtlety of the stock exhaust is too much for you, maybe you need that screaming flat 6 sound. Hello, 911 friend. Targa. Oh, he waved. Good boy. That sounded good. You can always go and put in a sillier exhaust. I mean, seriously, this thing is going to scream for you. The clutch uptake on this it's a little high. It's not crazy high, but it's not like right off the floor, that's for certain. But it's tactile, definitely designed more for the daily driver than for the racetrack. GT gearboxes tend to have very notchy and like tight gates, whereas the non-GT cars are quite a bit more forgiving. And if anything, they make more sense for the street because you're not just like rifle shifting into your gears. You can be a little lazier about it, which I prefer for a street car that's actually going to be used on the street. I can already see the comments coming in about the steering wheel. So yes, this is definitely the uglier of the steering wheels. The round one is the nice one, but there's no buttons on it. This is a driver focused car. We're not like, oh, let me fiddle with my radio station and all this junk. No, like, this is a driver's car first. It does have luxurious items. You know, you can connect to Bluetooth. You've got your CD changer, right? Yeah, that's pretty nice, huh? And when there's something in the road, God, it handles. But the 996 has a little floatier front end. It reminds me more of the air-cooled cars, especially in stock form. Whereas this feels a lot more planted. It feels a lot more rigid. There's less creaks and squeaks in the interior because it's more rigid. Now, this car is 15 years old, and this is a relatively timeless interior, except, yeah, maybe this is pretty old, but you can forgive it based on the driving experience. I'm gonna take our time through here. And while we're stopped, this is all chipping away. Like, you know, everyone likes to say, oh, I'd never buy a 996 because of the junky plastic and stuff. Well, the 997 has junky plastic too. That's not just a 996 thing. It's just that the shapes of the junky plastic in the 997 are slightly more appealing. Don't be scared away just because it's the slowest 911 of its time. Any 911 is always better than no 911. Steering is so nice. This actually is the first 911 to come with a variable ratio rack. I don't really notice it, but whatever, sure, maybe it's great. It's communicative. I feel everything that's going on the road. This engine just has torque everywhere. It's really lovely to drive, and unlike the E92 M3, where you've got to rev it to the moon to get anything out of it, in this car, you know, mid-range is fine. Mid-range actually gets the job done. And I'm not going to say it's a heavy flywheel, but it's certainly a heavier flywheel. If you're looking for those like ripping downshift blips, it's just not gonna happen here. This is not the car. But I'm sure you could modify it to do what you want. I see blue lights ahead. Up to the speed limit. There truly is a 911 for every budget, or at least a Porsche for every budget. I mean, sure, maybe $30,000 is still a bit out of reach, and if you're not comfortable with potential maintenance, that's going to be an issue for you. But that's not a lofty sum of money. I mean, it's hard to find any car for really under $30,000 right now, especially a fun car. So the fact that you can jump into a base Carrera for this kind of money, $25,000 to $35,000, depending on miles and condition, I mean, that's incredible. 911s are not fair weather flyers. They are designed to be used in every condition. They're meant to be used daily. They're meant to be used in the snow and the heat, in the fall and the summer, all of the things. This is not a car to just put away. It's a car to put miles on and be proud of those miles. I'm gonna be honest, I judged this car for a long time before driving it, and I was wrong. I was wrong. The base Carrera 997.1 is a proper 911. I also think I prefer the black gauges on the non-S than the white gauges on the S. Hot take. I think they probably charge people for that now, actually. I think if you wanted black gauges, you'd probably pay extra. That Porsche tax is pretty steep for normal stuff. There's also nothing better than the turning radius on a 911. This is crazy. I mean, today they come with four-wheel steer, so they're even more ridiculous, but even with just this, you can get anywhere. They pretty much do everything. They feel light on their feet, but they feel like solid and planted. That's a tricky balance, because the lighter you go, the more flimsy a car can feel. And while that's really fun on a track or a back road, as a daily driver, a very light, flimsy feeling car can get a little sketchy. And while the 911 can play the role of fun back road canyon carver, it can also play the role as GT car. It can also be really enjoyable on a long trip. I don't necessarily think that newer is better, and I think I'm having higher entertainment and enjoyment values in this 15-year-old 911 than in a 991.2. So there you have it. That's the 997.1 Carrera non-S. Tedward approved for whatever that's worth, but my goodness, it's fun. And I genuinely feel like I'm not missing out on a higher trim level. So thank you so much for watching, liking, commenting, and subscribing. Don't forget to respect the drive, and I'll see you in the next one. And a special thanks to my Patreon supporters for making this content possible. And the ever controversial rear wiper. Yes, if you're not part of the 911 world, rear wiper delete's kind of a hot thing. People like that. It's a strange thing. I prefer the wiper. I'm sorry.